and I see familiar faces, and then I see people I haven't met yet. So I'm thrilled to meet everybody and see everybody. And I will say that Carol mentioned, if you've just joined while she was giving the other housekeeping information, please put your name and organization in the chat because she has a drawing today for $100. So you want to be sure and put your name and organization in the chat. And if y'all will help us watch, and we're gonna, trust that you'll, use the honor system and let us know if other people sign on. Tell them to put their name in the chat as well. So if you're just joining us, put your name in the chat and your organization to be entered for a chance to win $100. So, oh my goodness, I see Sunny and Kristen. Hi, my friends. I haven't seen them in so long. Anyway, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm going to start sharing my screen. I get to talk about one of my favorite things today, which is thanking and cultivating our donors. And it's the thing that gets me all energized because I love the stewardship part of fundraising. And so when Carol was telling me about the topics and I saw that this one was available, I was like, please let me get to talk about this because it's something that it just lights me up. I love it. I love thanking and cultivating donors. And I will say that we're going to brush up just a quick minute on our fundraising 101. But I will say there are so many gurus in this arena. There's a lady named Penelope Burke. You can follow her. She has done extensive research and surveying. And I mean, she's a scientist in our field in talking to donors and finding out what it is they want and what it is they appreciate most and what it is that makes them give again, what it is that makes them never give again. Penelope Burke, she comes out with a survey every couple of years or so on donor-centered fundraising. And you need to follow her because she will tell you what donors are saying. And then there's another guy you can follow named Tom Ahern. And Tom coined the phrase loverizing on your donors, loverizing. So he came up with that phrase, and he's the one that got it to where you could have a newsletter and make it sound like the donor did all these wonderful things, because we can't do our good work without our donors. So he reminds us as fundraisers that it's not just another donation, but to that person, it was this huge deal that they made this gift. And he reminds us to make it donor-centered, where we put the you did this and not, we did this and look what we're doing and we're saving the children and we're doing all this. He gets you to reword things to where it is, look what you have made possible. Look what we are doing because of you. And so those are two little things that I've really learned from him, Tom Ahern. On our fundraising 101, I think the last time I was here, we talked about the piece of the pie. Most of the charitable giving, this is the 2019 report. The 2020 report will come out this summer. This is the Giving USA report. And you'll notice 69% of the $450 billion that Americans gave to charity comes from individuals. And we talked about this a little bit last time. It's all about people knowing people. I mean, it really is. And then if you notice giving by request right here, let me see if my arrow will go there, 10%. So I like to add this one to this one and make it 79% comes from individuals, because most of the time when you get a request, it's not from a corporation, it's from a person. So just remember, in your fundraising efforts and in your thanking and cultivating, it's all about people and relationships, and building those relationships so they feel a part of your organization and like they've really made a difference. And if you come back to this pie chart every time, that's where the most dollars come from. So it's just a little refresher. Individuals are where it's at. And then a refresher on our fundraising pyramid. And I'm only showing this again to show you that what we're talking about today, about the thanking and the cultivating and the, loving on our donors, we're working them up that pyramid. So they're coming in. Say you've got a whole bunch that'll be coming in here at the annual giving level, the bottom, through Northwest Arkansas Gives. That's what Northwest Arkansas does. It's a catalyst to cast your net out, to get as many of the fishes in as you can. It's a big awareness and giving day, and you're going to get a bunch of people coming into the bottom of the pyramid that maybe you've never met before and may not have this kind of opportunity to meet, where you've got board members sharing the information, everything. So just remember, the bottom of the pyramid, we're getting them in the door. Some of them will be your regular donors that already give, every week, every month, every quarter, every year. But some of them will be brand new people that give because a board member or someone else asked them to give for this special campaign. So what we're trying to do with our cultivating and thanking is move these people, whether they're in the middle of the pyramid here already, we're trying to get them to move up to the top. Whether they're coming in and they've never met us before, we're trying to get them to move up to the major giving. So that's just a little brush up on Fundraising 101 and why it is we need to be thankful and cultivate and make our donors feel special. So the rule of thumb in thanking a donor is you want to thank them at least 7 times. Now, I know that sounds overwhelming, but it's really not. So I came up with 10 ways to thank them right off the bat. There's a million other ways you can thank a donor. And we're going to get to maybe a procedure or a plan later on in the presentation. But just for now, be thinking of ways that would match your organization perfectly. Creative, wonderful, thoughtful, personal ways that you can thank a donor. And they don't have to cost a lot. We don't have to spend a ton of money to be thankful. The first thing they usually get is that form letter receipt. And, it's like, dear so-and-so, thank you so much. And tells you, thank you so much for the blue tumblers you gave for the blue tumbler drive. Blah, blah, blah. Your gift is da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And you are wonderful and we love you and thank you. And then at the bottom, it might look real receipty, like this gift was given on, 4/8/21 and 100% was tax deductible or whatever. Well, then you want on the bottom for someone, and it can be the development director, it can be, anyone could write a personal note on the bottom, and that sends it to the next level. It's not just that thank you note. It now has become something with a personal touch. So once we get to our stewardship plan, you'll see that there are different ways to jazz up that form letter receipt. But that's the number one thing that they should get within 24 to 48 hours. They should get something generated from the organization saying thank you. Another way you can thank them, and these aren't in any particular order, but you can have a shout out on Facebook, and if the donor gives you permission, of course. It can be like you shouted out the donor of them unloading their trunk with the great stuff. It can be a list of names of people without the amounts, of course, because that would be kind of tacky. But maybe you've just got the list, August donors. Here's everybody that gave in August. Thank you so much. We were able to do this because of you. Simple shout out for donors on social media. If they give you permission to do that, it goes such a long way. And I didn't realize it until I became a donor. And when I became a donor outside of working in an organization, that was when I realized how much those thank yous affect me and make me want to write another check or, click another link and give. It works. It makes people feel good and they feel like they've done this really wonderful thing. And social media is social media. You love it or you hate it, but there is some good from it. And this is one of those ways it can be a good force, is to thank your donors. A list in the e-blast or the newsletter. I always, every month would, when I sent out the e-blast, I would take from my, donor software, I would take the list of everyone that made a gift. and put them in alphabetical order. There was no like, clubs or levels or anything like that. I just put them in alphabetical order, and it had individuals, corporations, foundations, anything, foundations, that let you say that they gave. There's some that don't, but I would just list those. And there would be like on the side of the newsletter, it would say, thank you, September donors. And it would just have a list in the newsletter, just because I wanted it to be another way for those 7 thank yous. So you can always list them in a newsletter, or even just send a special email that's a thank you to these people who made last month's whatever possible. And then if you do a paper newsletter, definitely throw a note in there and put the dates, and then always put a little sentence. If we have missed your name by mistake, or if something's listed in error, please contact and put an email. We will get this updated immediately. We don't want to leave anyone out. Do that so that if somebody says my name's spelled wrong, I didn't, I gave and y'all don't have me on the list, you can go back, fix it, and do something special for that person. A handwritten thank you note from a participant of your, somebody that benefits from your organization. That goes a long way. Have somebody write something, or if you work with children, a handprint, or if you work with, like we worked with adults with disabilities, we had certain clients would write thank you notes, and we would send those, a little bit later after the receipt went out. And it meant a world of difference. So you can have someone write a handwritten thank you. It can be, from a participant, from a board member, from the executive director, another staff member whose program was benefited, or the development director. Be creative and be thoughtful. Think of what would make you, like if you got something in the mail, what would make you be like, oh my goodness, this is the sweetest, this is the coolest thing ever. Put yourself in the donor's shoes. And if you're not donating anywhere else, find a place that you're passionate about besides where you work, and make a donation just so you can see how they thank you, because you might get some great ideas. And it's not copying. A lot of us have the same ideas with different twists to what fits our organization. And I'll tell you, Saving Grace, and I see Crystal's on here today, Saving Grace is excellent at their thank yous. Excellent. So if you make a gift of $10 somewhere just to see what happens, and it gives you great feedback. A personal email, it never hurts. No matter how much or whatever your stewardship plan is, it never hurts to have someone send a personal email that's not in an email blast. Hey, Brian, I got your gift. Thank you so much. We were so surprised when we opened it up, because we didn't dream that you would be thank you, thank you, thank you. Now that you did this, you're going to make this possible. It goes a long way, I promise. It seems like overkill, but if you space these out just to a certain way, it's going to be like butter. Board member thank you signed by all the board members. Now, this is one that's easy to do. Like, I'm talking a form letter that is all about thanking and all about exactly what the money was going to do or how it made a difference. And then it's a form letter that you've tweaked to make different from the first form letter. But then at board meeting, you can pass these around and all the board members can sign on it. It's just an extra way, and you could have them do that with a handwritten card too, but just an extra thank you signed by all the board members. A phone call from the executive director, from the board president, or from the development director. Personal phone calls go a long way. I think it's more exciting if you get their voicemail and you get to just leave that beautiful message of thankfulness and thank you, and you're wonderful. Because I've noticed when they answer and you're doing a personal thank you or a thankathon or something, it takes about 3 minutes for the person, the donor, to realize you're not asking for anything, or like they're just like, yeah, trying to figure out why you called. I'm just doing laundry or whatever they're doing. It's like it catches them so off guard. So I love it when you get the voicemail and you can just say, hey, it's Allison, and I just wanted to tell you we got the gift that you sent, and you wouldn't believe the happy dance we did in the hall, because now we're going to be able to afford to blah, blah, blah program, make things better, solve all the world's problems. And you leave that message, then they get it and they can listen to it a couple of times and feel, and really be in the moment, instead of when you catch them off guard and but a personal phone call goes a long way, whether they answer or you get their voicemail. Voicemail is awesome. Special recognition at an event or open house. If there's a PowerPoint running at a special, virtual event, or you're meeting in person somewhere, slap a slide up there about thanking, thank all the donors, put them in categories. If it's sponsors, put them in those kind of categories. If it's just a list of people that have been gone the extra mile, put that up there. You don't have to make it in levels. You can make it however you want, but it's another way to give them the recognition they deserve. Holiday postcards, like the holidays that we don't, that maybe we take more for granted, like St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, July 4th, something you don't normally send something out. It's a great time to put together a cute postcard with a shamrock on it that says, "We're lucky to have you in our lives. Thanks for all you do." That's just another way to say thank you. And a postcard and postage, that's not going to cost that much to add those extra touches. And like I said, we're going to get to a point in the presentation when we talk about levels and when do you do which thing and all that. But you can be creative with all of this. It's all based on what feels good for you and your donors. And then last but not least, a porch drop off. Now, those have become popular since COVID. If there's something clever that y'all are making at your organization, or you have, say you have some t-shirts left over from something, slap that in a little gift bag and drop it off on the porch with a handwritten note saying, we just wanted to appreciate you. I had this t-shirt and I just thought, after what you did, I wanted you to have one of our, vintage t-shirts, or one of our extras from the special luncheon or whatever. So those are some ideas. Thank a donor at least 7 times. So next up, we're getting our calendar ready, because it's next week. I can't believe Northwest Arkansas Gives is next week, but it is. So, oh, look, I made this slide very fancy. Did not realize it was going to scroll in like that. I feel very accomplished now. But the day of, you want to be ready for what information you can get that day. And I'm not familiar with what's happening that day as far as if you know who's giving. But if you know who's giving the day of, it's a great time to do some shout outs on social media. Have the board at your ready to do some personal email just an email out to, if you give them a list of 5 people that you see coming in that day, or phone calls, or if there's one that's just really like a bigger gift than anybody even knew, and it just, have the executive director call that person in real time and say, "We just saw your gift come through. Oh my goodness, we're celebrating over here." Get them in the spirit that it's happening. Northwest Arkansas Gives has this energy about it for the whole day. And Carol says it's 8 to 8. Well, there's an energy. I've watched it over the years. There's an energy all day. The organizations are sharing and doing all this stuff. Bring those donors into the energy by sending that quick email or text or call or social media post, to be personal, to give people shout outs the day of, before you're getting into the receipts and all the nitty gritty. This is just that you're just sharing the joy and being thankful in the moment with that energy of Northwest Arkansas Gives. And then 2 weeks after, I kind of put this out. That'll be April 22nd. So get your calendar and put yourself an appointment reminder. Mark off a couple of hours, that week or April 22nd, to be ready to, surely by then they have gotten some sort of form email. I think when I gave last year, you get something back by email. Is that right, Carol? That says, "Thanks for giving to Northwest Arkansas Gives," or for, Saving Grace or Open Avenues or whatever.
Yes, so
Okay.
that goes out right away.
That goes out right away. So they've already gotten like the receipt or the thankfulness, like the generic one. 2 weeks after, if they haven't gotten, a paper receipt, if you do that, or a form letter where, a couple of people sign the bottom and thank them, 2 weeks after, that is a great time to do a reach out. Maybe you gather everybody's emails that gave on April the 8th, and you do an email blast like with the blind copy, so you can't see everybody's emails, but you say, hey, you did it, and you give them that report on, we raised this much and it's because of you, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Something like that 2 weeks after. You could do it individual, or you could do a lump to everyone that gave that day, but they need something that feels personal. Like, I know Northwest Arkansas Gives is over, but we haven't forgotten what you did 2 weeks ago, in your face, woo, woo, it just makes people feel like it's still going. You're trying to keep that energy up and keep them engaged with you. And then 2 months after, I wrote down this date, that'll be June the 8th. So what a great time to do one of those things I talked about, or send a, happy, get ready for summer flip-flop postcard. And, we're ready for summer, but it's because of you and what you did on April 8th, Northwest Arkansas Gives. Just another way. It can be an email, it can be a handwritten note, it can be a card that is printed and everybody gets the same thing, but has a little handwritten note on it. All of these things, all of these great ideas, just be creative, but do something 2 months after where you also, it's a great time to tell a story. We set a goal for this, and you guys you blew it out of the water, and now we're able to do this. Bring it back to the mission and how they made it possible. It's about the donor. 6 months after will be October the 8th. So go in that calendar, schedule yourself another appointment to rally the troops about how great it was back in April when we did Northwest Arkansas Gives. This one could be a reach out that says upcoming events or preparing for the holidays. And then you could even have our needs for the holiday wish list or whatever. You can have all kinds of stuff in there, but you're keeping them engaged. There are times you could even say, here's a quandary we have. So we wanted to ask our Northwest Arkansas givers for their opinion or their feedback, because always bringing people in for advice or feedback leads to connection, which leads to a gift. So 6 months after, come up with one of those clever ways to do that. And then around Thanksgiving, December 1st, have something ready that's about the end of the year or holiday themed, or something, again, thanking, but also letting them know what's coming up for the next year, or that wonderful story. Share stories and photos of some of your recipients and your participants in your programs. It's just another way to show them, here's what your gift has done and it's continuing to do, but then also says, here's what we've got going now. You're keeping them involved and engaged. So timeline ideas, you have to get these scheduled and planned. So we already heard that luckily what's great, as soon as somebody gives, they're going to get that generated email back. So they're going to hear from you almost immediately. So you want to go in and make that letter, that email letter, make it sound personal, so it doesn't just sound like the generic same thing that everybody's going to get. Put a sentence in there that brings it right back to your organization, and make sure it sounds like it came right from you instead of auto-generated. Does that make sense? It doesn't need to be long and drawn out. It just needs to sound out of the box, clever, a thank you that sounds like it came right from your brain. Have something ready for social media. We talked about that. Have something ready that you can do that day. Post and tag each donor with permission, of course. And then an extra mile would be looking at the gifts that come in. If there are some that are just blowing you away, it's different for every organization. What level is one of those blow away gifts? Like we just had no idea that person was going to do that. It just blew us away. Have board members and the executive director ready to make those phone calls and say, we couldn't believe it. We just saw it come through. Thank you so much. It will just like it'll just share that synergy of the whole day if you are ready and have people willing to make these phone calls as things start happening. And then 2 weeks after, like I talked about before, make sure that everyone has heard from you. Besides just that email that generates out, make sure they've heard from you, before 2 weeks after, or at 2 weeks with something that's personalized and special. And then 2 months after, great time to send an e-blast out listing all the donors from Northwest Arkansas gives and telling the progress and what happened because of their generosity. 6 months after, send a letter to update all the great things they made possible, have all the board members sign, blah, blah, blah. I said all this before. And then in December, let them know how much they mean to you, how thankful you are to have them, on board. Give them details about your end of year needs, tell them things that are coming up in the future. Give them a problem to solve. We're out of toilet paper, or we're out of paper towels. We would love to have people help us. Do you have a Sunday school group that would love to bring paper towels? Thank them again for all they do to make everything possible, and keep them on the inside track. You want to make them feel special. So, drafting your own stewardship policy. This is what I was talking about earlier. Like I said, every organization has a different idea of what a major gift is. To some smaller organizations that are just starting out, $50 might be a huge injection of, a huge donation. To some of the larger organizations that have been doing this a while, maybe it's, if you get $1,000 on a Tuesday, it's going to floor you. Like they just wrote a check for $1,000. I can't believe it. There might be some on this call that if it's $5,000 for no reason, that would, there's no right or wrong answer. Every organization is different and has a different level of what is a big gift to them. But no matter what the levels are, you have to have a protocol or something organized that you do to acknowledge the donors. I think it makes it easier for you to continue cultivation. And what I mean by that is everything I just talked about, laying out your calendar, and after every kind of event or special ask, there is a stewardship policy or plan. And then just even after the day-to-day donations that come in, like I said, on a random Tuesday or Wednesday, there needs to be a plan of what you do to appreciate and include those donors. Because if you don't have a plan, then sometimes it never gets done quite like it should be done. Sometimes it doesn't get done because of the day-to-day operations and life. And then sometimes you forget, did I send that, or did I do that? What did I do? This just helps you have a plan and a checklist, and you can mark it right off once you get it done. So what plans can you put in place to acknowledge different gifts? So here we go. Let me see. So if you have this stewardship policy, it takes the guesswork out. All those ideas, you can come up with how staff members, key stakeholders, board members, volunteers, how they can all help make each donor feel special. And I'm going to share this with Carol. I have a sample generic stewardship policy, and I'm going to send it to her, and she's going to share it with all of you. And it's in Word, so you can copy and paste it right down to the last period and exclamation mark if you want to. But what I hope you'll do is take it and make it perfect for your organization. So this, like I said, these levels are just made up. You do it based on what works for your organization. And this is different than giving clubs. This is just literally when a donation comes in, how are we going to thank these people? So if it's $1 or I have zero, I don't know, to $99, they get that computer generated receipt, and maybe you and the ED write a handwritten note at the bottom. thanking them, for their donation. And remember, sometimes a $10 gift might be a monthly donor. So it's not that it was $10, it was that it was $120 for the whole year. So you might not send them a note every single month, but they need to be lumped in a category that's over the $100. So you have to take all that into consideration too. But somebody just sends in a $25 memorial because someone they love passed away, and they know this would be a great organization that they would have loved, and they send in that memorial. Y'all have never heard from them before. It's a great time to get, they get the computer generated receipt, a handwritten note at the bottom, and then maybe you put a little note by the side that says contact them in 2 months to see if they would want a tour, or to see if they would want to meet or have coffee or something. And then the next level, 100 to 499, they get the same thing, the computer generated receipt, which should go out, 24 to 48 hours, at least within the week. It really is. And Penelope Burke's work has shown the faster that thank you note goes out, the higher your retention rate is going to go. So try to get your thank you notes out as quick as possible. Then, if it's somewhere between 100 and 499, add a handwritten thank you card from a student, participant, a family that's benefited. Have an email sent by the executive director. Put them on that special holiday card or, treat list that they get. Small tokens. This is where you get to play with it, whatever you think. And then when we get into $500 and up to almost $1,000, they get all the things that the other, that the lower ones got. But then we add the form thank you note from board members, or a board member can email them. The board president can do something. Like, you're just trying to stair step it up so that when the gifts come in, you know what to do, and your team knows what to do. Your executive director knows that she's going to be sending some emails, if we get donations over a certain amount, he or she. And then it just be creative, play with it, do it however you want. This is just a guideline for you to follow. Over 1,000 to under 5,000, they get all that stuff again. And then this is when maybe the board president calls them and thanks them for their gift. 5,000 or more. And I mean, that is kind of a wide range, because you might get a gift of $25,000 from a person or a bequest or something. That's when you have to be very creative. But this one, we added the personal call from the executive director and the personal call from the board president. And you can do it in ways that it's not overwhelming to the donor or too much or too pushy. Space those out. Like, look at your calendar. Think, okay, well, if executive director called them the week after they got their form letter, then I'll have the board president call in 2 weeks. Like, so it's spaced out to where they're, once again, it's another touch from your organization, and if they're hearing from you on a schedule or a balance, or you just don't want to be overwhelming. But there are so many creative ways to do it. It's just getting it in your calendar and knowing what to do when you get those gifts. Now, I was going to open it up for questions and comments, because I am glad to answer any problem solving, or any, if you want to brainstorm about certain ideas, or if there's something you're doing that really works. There have been times where we've tried things that don't work well for our organization, but we know they would be a slam dunk for the Humane Society, or the child care providers, or we know it would work for somebody else. If you want to share any ideas you had, I would love to know, does anybody have any great plans for next Thursday as to what's going to happen when the gifts start coming in?
And while you think about that, anyone who has arrived late, could you please put your name and your organization into the chat, and you'll be entered in our drawing at the end of this for $100. So I'm sure you all want the organization you work for to be $100 richer. So go ahead, please, and do that now. Thank you.
Yes, we don't want to miss that. And I was also going to say that thanking donors should be the most fun part of your job. I mean, it really should. And I've found that when, I know I broke the stewardship policy into those levels, but what I found is it really doesn't matter if somebody gives $10 or $10 million. That person that gave $10 still feels like they gave $10 million. $10 to them is different than the $10 million from the other donor. So you have to remember that no matter how small, no matter how large, people just want to feel appreciated and like what they did makes a big difference. And most of the time, even if they've sent in something that's very minimal in your mind, to them, they sent what they had. And so just come at it from, that standpoint, and just the appreciation and gratitude, they just will flow out, and it will show to your donors. And you never know, they could just be trying to see, is this going to be a good fit for me? So they don't give much at first to see how they feel. And if you knock it out of the park, they could be one of those people that leave you in their will for $10 million. You just never know. It's all about how you make them feel. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see faces. And then is there anybody that wants to share any great thing that works for them or what they've got planned for Thursday?
Hey, I'll share.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Tim Harrington here. I'm with Freedom 51, and I guess we've been involved in this thing for all 4 years. One of the ideas that we picked up last year from somebody, I don't know who it was, but it was a great idea, and we had a great time with it, was that as soon as people gave, you can tell with your pure charity, you can tell who gave when they gave. We kind of watched that board, and so somebody hit, and usually there's in our case we have personal connections, so we know the people that are probably going to give anyway. But one of the things that we did last year that was really fun and it was really well received was as soon as they gave, within about 15 minutes or so, we were sending a personalized video via phone. And we did this, it was kind of stupid, but I have kind of this alter ego that, it's a racetrack, caller. And so I had a big board at my office, and it was like, here we are live at the Freedom 51 board. It looks like Allison McElroy just gave $150. And then, so it's like, as long as we shot those all day.
I love it.
It was honestly, one thing that we learned in this process too, is that this is a work day. And so we literally just set up, got comfortable, did our stuff. But it's like, I think we ended up having like 85 people who gave over the course of the day. And so it was like 85 messages, but it was so much fun. And what we saw was people really appreciated that personal, stupid, silly something.
Yes.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that, but we picked that up. Somebody was doing that a couple of years ago, and we said, man, that's a great idea. We're going to try it. And it actually worked. So we're planning to do that again.
I'm so glad you shared it, because it goes with everything I just said. Y'all came up with something creative that fit your personality, something you already do, and you turned it into fun, and then you hit people as they were giving in the moment, and it kept that kept that synergy of the whole day going and made them feel like someone noticed. Because I think, there are several of us that will, when Northwest Arkansas Gives happens, we're trying to give to several different organizations. So we're seeing the email from different ones. So that's why I say go in there and put at least one sentence that makes it special to you. But it just helps you stand out. And it, like you said, it was fun. Even though it was corny and, what you said was goofy, I bet it wasn't that goofy. I bet it was just fun and really touched each one of them. And I love that you did it in real time.
It was goofy, but that's okay. People like goofy sometimes. So I'll say one of the things that we did that we're going to repeat again this year was that, one of the things that NWA encourages nonprofits to do is to try to get some sort of a matching team if you can pull that off. And so for the organizations that have some matching teams, one of the things that we did was we sent the matching team 3 or 4 videos over the course of the day, informing them about where we were.
Love it.
And so here they had given, say someone had given $1,000 towards the matching team. And now all of a sudden they go, oh, that's today. I wonder how far they are. And now they're checking the board and they're seeing where we are. And so that was, and I'll say this, we've had thus far this year, we've had like 100% repeat of the matching team. Because it was, in fact, I've had some guys that call me and say, hey, when are you doing that matching thing again? So anyway, it's taken us about 4 years to develop that, but that was something that we've actually seen bear some fruit this year, communicating to those people even this year. So
that goes along with what I was saying about getting people involved. And I talked about that back at the beginning of the month when I did that class. Was, sometimes, and a lot of y'all have heard me say this a million times, if you ask someone for money, you tend to get advice. But if you ask some people for advice or feedback, it does lead to money. And so it's better to go in and that's what you're doing. You've got the matching gift people on board, but not only are they on board, now they feel a part of it and they feel ownership in the day and they want it to be successful because they're a part of it. And that takes things to another level when someone feels like they are a VIP or they're in the know or they're part of the efforts, or it just, so that's great that y'all decided to include them in. Here's where we are, keep sharing, because they will go and probably email it or share it on social media to get more people to make it successful because they're a part of it. Thanks for sharing, Tim. Anybody else? We got done very early today. I guess I talked 90 miles an hour. So if I went too fast, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But like I said, I get very energized on how to thank people and coming up with just creative ways. I think one of the more fun things that we did when in the past where I worked at Open Avenues is we did a drive around with just crazy stuff. At one holiday season, we got these small sanitizers, and this was before COVID. This was when it was going to be a really bad flu year, and everybody was worried about the flu. It was on record to really be a problem. So we got the small sanitizer size, or small bottles of sanitizer, and we put a label on them that looked like Santa's suit, the Santa suit, like with the black belt and the red and white. And we just put a little sticker on there that said, enjoy our Santa-tizer, and stay healthy and happy this holiday season. And we took that around to donors, that were in that maybe a higher level, and dropped it off at the porch. And then some people we bought the inexpensive wrapping paper that comes in 3s, and we just take a roll of wrapping paper and put, we hope you get wrapped up in the holiday season or something. Thanks for all you do. And we drop those off. we got very creative. One year after our event, it was a tropical theme. We got pineapples donated, and we took pineapples to all the sponsors and all the people that spent the most at the auction, and dropped those off. And then we swore we would never do pineapples again, because pineapples get hot and sticky, and gnats and flies start coming around. And it was like you had to get them delivered that day or it wasn't going to work. So we didn't do pineapples again. It was fun that year, and they all seemed to love it, because it reminded them of the luau or whatever. And so that was fun. And then another year we did mini muffins to the corporate sponsors or corporate donors. And it said, "You're getting muffin but love this holiday season." I mean, I was working with a gal named Natalie at the time, and Natalie was a Pinterest whiz, and she would find this stuff and say, here, I think we can do it, and we can get it in this budget. And it would be, I would think, it was kind of like the loaves and the fishes. I was like, how are we going to get all that done? And she would figure out a way and get on Pinterest, and we'd do these things where you don't have to spend very much money. And a lot of times, if you're real creative and think about the people you work with or your key stakeholders and what they have to offer that they wouldn't mind giving, you could come up with some clever ways that fit your organization to say thank you. You really can. And it's just a matter of, and what's the hardest is the time it takes to get it on the calendar as part of your everyday routine, so that it's not something like you're like, oh, it's time to do it again. It's like, this is I have to do this in order for people to keep giving and to stay involved with the organization. It's so important. You just can't take it for granted.
Does anybody have any more questions? Well, then I'm going to give everyone a few reminders. All of this and all the other trainings we've done are all at NWAGivesTraining.com. I really encourage you to go check it out. Remember, jog your mind for some of the ideas that you've had in the past. In particular, I suggest you go back and take a look at Jesse's webinar from last week to remind yourself what you should be doing this week and next week to prepare for NWA Gives Day. One last plea, if any of you on here have not done your fundraising page, please do so right now. As soon as you get off, without your fundraising page up and running, you have no way of receiving donations on April the 8th. So please go do that. All right, that being said, here is the magic hat. We will see who is our winner today. Oh, I got two. Sunny Lane with the Helen R. Walton Children's Enrichment Center is our winner today.
Yay! Way to go, Sunny.
So Sunny, this will come after the event. Anyone who's won any money so far should all know that it will be coming from our wonderful sponsor, First Security Bank. So they will be sending you a check after the event. So congratulations.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Allison. It was a great presentation. Really appreciate it. And thank you for the gift.
All right. We have a couple things in the chat. Let's see if there's any questions. No questions. All right. Does anyone have any questions before we sign off? There is one more Better Together session left on Thursday. So Thursday at noon, if you want to join us with any of your questions, I encourage you to do so. Otherwise, we will see everybody on Tuesday, the 6th, for our NWA Gives rally. There will be more details coming about that probably on Friday. So watch your email box and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks again. Go get them.
Thanks, Allison.